What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Thursday night live stream here on Drums and Drams. Got a lot to do tonight. A couple things that I wanted to dive into that I'm really excited about. Not the least of which is a pretty exciting blind flight that I don't think I've done, even in like my private time away from cameras and live streams and everything, which is a flight of all of the Old Forester 117 series. So we're going to get into that. We've got some awesome head-to-head whiskey battles for this evening, which I've never done. So I think all of the stuff on this stream is also going to be new to me. And I'm sure maybe some of you have done some of these comparisons at different times. Maybe you haven't. So I'm excited for that, to kind of get into some new stuff and have a little bit more of a structured live stream this week. On the thumbnail, you all could see that there was kind of a listing of the things I wanted to cover, and that's going to hopefully kind of keep me on track and, maybe keep this thing at or under 2 hours instead of going over 2 hours tonight. All right. So anyways, I'm excited to be here. It's been, the last time I saw you was before Matt Madness. So I guess we have to talk about that, at the beginning of this stream. But, it's been a busy last week. As usual, it's Thursday. I'm kind of rounding things out and coming to the end of my week. Although over the summer for me, I have shows every Saturday night outdoors with the symphony. So my work kind of begins tomorrow in terms of actually performing and playing. Anyways, let me say hello to a few people in the chat. Let me get a freaking drink poured also. So beginning part of this stream is just a little bit of a celebration, to be honest with you. Again, this whole Matt Madness thing. So I'm going to have two small but mighty pours. I want to save my liver this evening. But we're starting with a little Michter's 10 Rye, which is a bottle that I cannot stop drinking. This thing, I know it's only 92.8 proof, 10 years age stated, which is old but not crazy old. I'm telling you, this stuff, if you ever get the chance to pick it up, at MSRP or maybe just above, $20 above, it's not worth the $300 on secondary, $350. This is a 2018 edition. So if you ever get a chance to try one of these, I think it's friggin' incredible. So let me just say before we get into anything this evening, cheers to all of you. Hope you're all doing well, having a good week, getting into the weekend. It's so hot outside, so I hope that your power, if it wasn't on, is back on. I know we're starting to see more consistent power here. Ours never went out. We got really lucky with where we live that we had no issues with power. So our refrigerator's great. We didn't lose any food, but I do feel for all of you that have been dealing with some of this craziness over the last couple of days. All right, cheers, guys. I'm telling you, some of these Michter's 10 Ryes taste like Dusty's to me. There's some quality in there that I don't really understand how a modern whiskey tastes that way, but they really have sort of a nice, creamy, dusty profile. All right, so let me say hello to a few people in the chat. Before I lose track of this, Hendo, what's up, man? Thanks for the $5 super chat. Hey, I will enter you into the giveaway. We are going to have a giveaway tonight, guys. I'll talk about that in just a second. But I'm going to throw Hendo in the mix up front. Let's see here. Dustin, what's up, man? Still got that sample that you sent me that I can't wait to crack open, the Redemption Rye 18. I don't know that I haven't been walking around doing the Billy strut, but my belt is in the mail now, or in process. Matt sent me the tracking for the Matt Madness champion belt. It's going to take 3 to 6 weeks to get here, but I did see the design. It's pretty cool. And, I'm going to have to get some pictures in that belt. What's up, Aiden? Yeah, no proper 12 this evening. No proper 12. Although, speaking of shitty Irish whiskey, I am going to have to buy the Peaky Blinders edition of, is it Bushmills that did the 3-year Peaky Blinders whiskey? Yeah, we're going to start that. We just finished up Stranger Things season 4, or at least what's out of that right now. And we're going to go to Peaky Blinders next. And then we're going to pick up on The Boys when a couple more episodes come out so we can really binge that. All good stuff. But no shitty Irish whiskey tonight. The only Irish whiskey I own is Redbreast 27, which is very snotty of me to say, but it's just the truth. What's up, Sugar Kitty and Bubble Bath Bourbon? Blind Squirrel says, cheers, champ. Thank you so much. Hey, champ, show off your championship belt soon. When it's here, I'm not the kind of person that's going to be a total wiener head about all of this Matt Madness stuff, but I did let myself have a few days of being proud and feeling good about how it went last week. So it's been funny along the way. Like, I tuned into the Junkies on Tuesday night, and I tuned in right at the moment Dan was talking about it. Yeah, so there have been a couple of funny moments where I've kind of seen people talking about it or whatever, and whether or not people are kidding when they say that they thought I cheated, it doesn't matter to me because I didn't cheat. I'm not so worried about that. But yeah, I'm allowing myself to be happy, be proud. It feels like like when I get off stage and play a gig and I had a good show, like Matt Madness felt that way for me. I had a couple days of feeling really good, and that was nice. Yeah, I got to do the rubber match with Grease. We got to unify the belts, right? Dan S. says, what symphony? Moving back to Columbus Symphony. That's where I play part-time. Let's see here. Aiden says, spent today cleaning and buying groceries, so sounds like maybe not. Maybe the groceries were normal groceries, or maybe they're power outage groceries. I don't know. Dan S., I spent today, oh man, I'm so sorry, but take care of yourself. I did Sudafed, emergency, Pedialyte, knock that thing out. I just hope that your smell and taste stay intact. Andrew Moore, I spent the day walking through a barley field in 100-degree heat and pulling the wheat out of it. Whiskey grains all day. It's not such a bad thing. What's up, Amy? Cheers. Good to see you. Sugar Kitty, you need to at least get yourself some powers. Yeah, I know. What is up, Tim? Thank you, man. Cheers to you, Justin. Thanks for jumping in here. I don't think I missed anybody just yet. All right. Cool. So yeah, the Matt Madness thing. Let's talk about it real quick before I kind of let it go until the belt comes in, which is going to be exciting. So yeah, this season I had a bye week in week 1. And so I don't, because I had a bye week the first week out of the gate, it didn't really feel like Matt Madness had started. I didn't tune into anybody's first rounds that I can remember. So I didn't put the same pressure on myself at the beginning of this tournament that I did last year. So when I came into the first round, which I think was against Kira and Clifton, I think that was my first round this year. There was that tricky one up front. I remember the first one was a Jack Daniels, and the first question was, is this Tennessee or Kentucky or Indiana? That was a tricky one. And Clifton and I remember we both got that, but very deceptive, and it could have been an Old Forester product or something similar. That was the hardest round for me. That Clifton Kira round with the all Jack Daniels flight, that was really freaking hard. Mostly because you just don't think that Matt is going to give you all of one thing. I remember seeing him do that last year. I believe maybe Chad and Sarah, or Chad or Sarah, some combination of them had like an all Old Forester flight or all Brown Foreman, something along those lines. And I was like, man, that would really suck. And then here I am. I got basically the same thing done to me. So that first round was absolutely the hardest round in the tournament. And I think that was quarterfinals. So then what was the next round? Was the next round the all rye flight? Maybe the all rye flight, where we had all of the semifinalists kind of competing against each other. I think that's right. You guys remember? I cannot think. Amy, thank you. Yeah, hit that like button. Hit that like button, and obviously subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. Bev Porter, congrats, Cam, on the Matt Madness win. Thank you. Thank you, Bev. Thanks to Matt for doing it. I mean, what a crazy endeavor this year for, I don't know how long it was, 3 or 4 months. I mean, that was a task to undertake. And my mom has been talking to me about this. She loved it. My mom was tuning in all the time for Matt Madness. She's recently discovered the joys of like YouTube communities. She's got this community that she is in for like slot machines or kind of gambling people in Vegas, and she goes out and sees them, you know. But she's kind of found that bug, which I found in the bourbon or whiskey tube community, I should say. She was talking about the fact that like a tasting competition like this for real could be streamed. I mean, on like a Netflix or a Hulu or an Amazon, like this could be something actually legit, especially the way Matt's doing it. Because there's entertainment factor to it. You could obviously do so much more with it if you're in person, but even just like next year, it would be great to do the finals in person and to figure that out. I mean, it could really be a cool thing to try to put together. This was a good moment. I remember this. That was a good moment. My mom just said what was on her mind. How's Michter's 10 rye compared to the barrel strength rye? Totally different. In night and day, there I don't even find any similarities between the two. You're talking 20 proof point difference, probably 4-year difference, 3 or 4 year, I would imagine. And the creaminess on the palate from the Michter's 10 rye is not evident whatsoever for me on any of the barrel strength ryes I've had. I don't like Michter's barrel strength rye. I think it's sharp, it's young. It's like the Booker's of barrel strength ryes to me. It's just too young and too sharp. People don't like that I say that. I think largely, and I'm sorry, but that's just where my palate's at on those. Andrew, how did I get the buy for round one? I think it was just random. I think Matt just spun a wheel for that. So I just kind of got lucky. But I believe, yeah, the semifinals was the rye flight. And when Matt came in and said, what is the dominant grain of this right off the bat? And it was clear when you nosed them all that it was rye. That was really helpful. And I think the one thing about this year's tournament that helped me at least was that in a lot of these rounds, we were able to nose everything right off the bat. And so you were able to, I don't know, kind of get a bird's eye view right away and then start digging into things. And that's what I really enjoyed about it. And that flight to me was fairly easy once you started narrowing things down. Like Matt was like, here are the 4 states, do a match game for the states. You really start to think in your head about what's going on. And that 291, I knew their profile very well from when Sarah and I went to Colorado last summer. And then finally, like the finals round, I've got to be honest with you guys. I am not, no bullshit. I nosed them right away. And I have all of these texts in my phone still. I was texting Sarah the whole time before the next questions would come up, just as I was nosing it. The first thing I sent her was, everything's Buffalo Trace. The first question was, what's the dominant grain? I said, everything's Buffalo Trace. Glass 2 is Weller Foolproof. I thought Glass 3 was 107, which I was wrong about. But later I corrected myself when we did the match game thing. But I was just kind of dialed in on that. The hardest thing for me in that last round was deciding between Elmer T and Blanton's. But typically Elmer T is a creamier profile, and Blanton's has a little more rye spice to it. And that was what kind of saved me in that. But I went through and looked at all the scores again that Matt posted or shared his screen with. And I won every single round, even with Dan's bonus points on the proof round, which he freaking nailed. He was 1 proof point off the total. So, you know, I feel really good about how all of that went. And people are like, there's no way you guessed a bottle off the nose. I mean, that's why we do this. We are supreme whiskey nerds. And, you know, that's what we do, is we guess bottles off the nose sometimes. I don't know. Spicy and inbred. I didn't know the belt came in women's size. Yeah, me neither. Well, you know, I'll take that as a compliment for what it's worth. What do we got here in the chat? Spicy and inbred. Congrats, Cam. That changed. That changed quickly. Amy, the toasted barrel. Yeah, Amy, I still can't get behind it. I just still can't get behind the toasted rye. All of the Michter's toasted products to me have the same thing as the Sagamore Double Oak, which is that stale bread rubber quality. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the kind of toasted barrel they're using. I just cannot get behind it. I don't know why. Let me check out the chat here, guys. What's up, David? Good to see you, man. Are you schlammered? Says, speaking of ryes, what's your thought on the Sagamore Spirits 8-year rye is one of the best values on the market right now. That is like, go buy 2 of them, around $70 each, easily. Go buy 2. Not going to last forever. It's probably something that we're all going to take for granted. I would not take that for granted. The Sagamore 8-year is better than most of the Sagamore cast strength picks that I've had, which are only 6 or 7 years old. Age is just a number in that regard, especially with rye whiskey. I'm telling you, the 8-year is special. So I absolutely love it. All right, one more kind of celebratory pour before we get into tonight's festivities. Hey, if you're hanging out tonight, we're going to talk giveaway right now. We've got 44 people in the house. Let's get some more people in here. Please hit that like button if you wouldn't mind for me. You know, I don't know how many likes we have so far, but hit that like button. Let's get a few more people hanging out. Get the giveaway going, and we'll start doing some whiskey battles in just a few minutes here. All right. Final celebratory pour. You know, I could pull out the King of Kentucky. I could pull out some Dusties. I'm not going to do that because I actually already celebrated with those pours like right after I won. When we all stayed on after Matt Madness, I was doing like bottle chugs of King of Kentucky because I got really drunk that night. So I need to save my King of Kentucky. So let's go with this Smoke Wagon Rare and Limited Single Barrel. This is called Hot and Spicy. I probably already talked about this before when I got the bottle a few months ago. Doing some work on this thing. It's an incredible MGP single barrel. To me, it's better than the old Blom that I've had, the old OKI. This, whatever the desert heat, the desert magic is that Aaron talks about at Smoke Wagon, is real. This stuff is silly. And the first one auctioned off at like $1,200. So I'm glad I didn't pay $1,200 for this. Cheech says only 33 likes. Guys, please hit that like button. 50 of us in here. Let's get at least 50 likes. That would really, really help the channel. Whiskey Nose says, do you need me to mod? Yeah, sure. Let me make that happen. We have a couple mods in the house, but do we need a mod? Are there some bots coming in here? Marty, let me make this happen, man. There we go. You are now a mod. Aiden's still debating. You know what? I would do it just for the value that it is. Even if it's not your favorite whiskey right now, sometimes my palate changes, and I'm glad that I didn't get rid of a backup or miss the opportunity to buy a backup for a certain bottle that was just a great value. Remus is a good example of that. I took Remus Repeal Reserve for granted, and now I only have one backup of batch 5. Whereas if I could turn back time and grab a bunch of batch 3s, I would be doing that. You know, yeah. Dustin, my wife wants to know what kind of glasses you use. Look up Highland nosing glass on Amazon, and you'll find these. I don't particularly like holding them, I guess. I mean, there are qualities of the Glencairn I like. There's qualities of the aged and ornate glass. I like this glass because it's the best nosing experience for me. I'm able to get a little less alcohol on the nose than with Glencairn. So that's why I choose this glass. Oh, Whiskey Nose, I can keep up with super chats. Yeah, you know what? Let me see. I know we got Amy in here, but I don't ever want anybody to feel like they have to track super chats for me. I do have my own Word document up in the event that I need to track them tonight. It's really not a big deal. Hendo is the only one that has sent in so far. All right. Cheers, everybody. Let me know what you're sipping on this evening in the chat. Oh, my God. It's hot and spicy. 154 bottles. This is a 9-year single barrel, 123.5 proof. Wow. That is phenomenal stuff. All right, let's talk giveaway. So I have to get a banner going here. I got to edit this thing to tonight's. We're doing a sample giveaway tonight of the entire Old Forester 117 series. All right, so there we go. There's the giveaway. We're going to get into that blind flight in just a second. All of them are already poured out here, the Old Forester 117 series. And the reason we're doing this tonight is because it was announced today in a press release that Jackie Zykan is leaving her position as master taster at Old Forester effective July 1st. So she basically put in her 2 weeks today, right? I guess we hope that they've set up somebody behind the scenes to kind of take on that role. I can't imagine there's going to be an open listing for master taster at Old Forester, but I guess you never know. But anyways, Jackie Zykan is out at Old Forester. Many of us are familiar with Jackie, not only because of the products that she's brought to market, particularly these Old Forester 117 series, which bear her name and her signature in the bottom right-hand corner, but also from the documentary, which I believe is Neat, right? The documentary on Amazon, I think, is where I watched it. You know, she was on there. She had a little moment in a cocktail bar, and she was kind of talking about some of the stuff she does. I remember she had some sort of E.H. Taylor in the back room at a liquor store or something. It's a great documentary, especially for people new to the bourbon industry or, you know, bourbon hobby, I guess. So that is the giveaway tonight, is a sample pack of all of the Old Forester 117 series, which is a great series. And I hate to choose a winner tonight, but we're going to choose a winner. And yeah, you know, sometimes if there's a ton of super chats that come in, I like to give something else away, whether it's another sample pack or like a bottle. I have some leftover backup picks from different people. So thank you guys. Will Hendo is doubling his odds. Appreciate it, man. Top dog. Excuse me. I believe I missed your comment earlier. You were asking if I'm bringing the news segment back. I am bringing the news segment back, not this weekend. I'm shooting for next weekend on that, and then every weekend after it. But I don't want to rush into things too quickly. So it could be next weekend or the weekend after that the news, which is the weekly dram, is going to return. Amy, here's the deal. Guys, I am telling you this right now. If somehow that job was auditioned for, I don't know how you would do that, I guess, because there's probably so much extra that goes on than just tasting and blending whiskey, you know. But if there were a way to try to apply to that job, I would leave my position in the symphony and go do that job. 100%. Between you and me. Bubbleback Bourbon says, friggin' in for that. Looking forward to seeing where she goes. I know. I'm very curious to see what her next move is going to be. And even if it's like, it could be outside of the industry or in a different facet of the industry. So we'll see. Cheers for the champ of Matt Madness. Rock on. Thank you so much, Blind Squirrel. I really appreciate it. Hey, super chat tracking. Let's see. Oh, Marty, you got it? Okay, so Marty, make sure you get Hendo had the very first super chat way up there. So, yeah, awesome. Aiden says, holy shit, Old Forester is screwed. We'll see. We will see, huh? Okay. Justin Jenkins sipping on some WB Saffel. And I have that up there. I'm going to review that soon, actually. There it is right there. Interesting pour. What do you think of it, Justin? Let's see. Hendo says, you have a belt now, totally qualified. I don't know if that qualifies me. It just qualifies me for bourbon nerddom. You guys are killing me. That's hilarious. All right. Final sip here of this Smoke Wagon single barrel, and then we're going to get into a head-to-head whiskey battle. Amazing stuff. Dan S. says, they do have a 1984. Yeah, I saw a new release coming soon. And I've also seen some other Old Forester 117 series labels being teased, but I don't know exactly when the release dates for those are. And it looks like they might not come out by the time Jackie's out of the job. I shouldn't say out of the job. That sounds like she got let go. Henry D., thank you for the $20 super chat. Very much appreciated. 4 entries into tonight's giveaway for an awesome sample pack. Yeah, Aiden, I think you're right. We'll just have to see what happens, you know. All right. So first up, I think this is first on the thumbnail. If it's not, sorry that I'm going out of order. Guys, I've been thinking about this. Like, what are some interesting comparisons? Now, this week, what I was going to do on this live stream on Monday, I was going, okay, I finally have Elijah Craig B522. I have my thoughts on it. I have my thoughts on the last 3 releases, which I haven't done videos yet. I'm going to do those back to back to back, 3 reviews in a row of those batches. And I thought, you know what? I need to do some sort of Elijah Craig then and now. Let's pick a couple old batches, a couple new batches, and let's kind of talk about the differences. Then Tuesday night rolls around, and Scott from My Bourbon Journey does this, right? And then Thursday rolls around, and Jason does this, or Wednesday. So then I'm like, I'm not going to do an Elijah Craig flight. And when I saw the news about Jackie today, I was like, skirt, we're going to do something else now, which is why we're doing what we're doing tonight. But in the spirit of some sort of head-to-head, I thought this would be a great comparison. Traditionally, not blind, I have not been a big fan of Four Roses Small Batch Select. We won't talk about what I think of it in terms of notes and profile, but it's not been my favorite. However, Bullet single barrels have been a big favorite of mine. I never put 2 and 2 together that these are both Four Roses. I'm just kidding. I don't know that. But I never put 2 and 2 together that they were the same exact proof. So we're going to do a head-to-head here of the only bullet pick I have open right now, which is a really fantastic one. And this Four Roses Small Batch Select. We're going to put these things head-to-head. I guess I could do them blind. What do you think? Should I blind these? I have to get a couple of stickers from over there. Should I blind these or should I do this open? I mean, price-wise, these are the exact same price on the shelf. Availability-wise, both widely available. Everyone's getting bullet picks. What do you think? Blind or not blind? Tight Cut says, WB Saffel sits right between Rare Breed and Kentucky Spirit. Sweet spot. Okay. Crunchitize me, Captain. I never win anything. Oh, wait. I don't know what that hashtag is at the end. But, all right, Sugar Kitty, you're in for 2 entries for this giveaway. Coulter says B520 is the GOAT. I disagree. At least unblind, I disagree. It's a great, that is like a fantastic down-the-middle Kentucky bourbon, but it is not the GOAT for me. For a while it was. And then I went back to 2017 and tasted those. DC, what's up, man? Congrats, champ. Amazing job. Brutal fatality of the Grease. All thanks to your amazing editing skills and complete domination in the final round. Serious props, man. Thank you so much, DC. Man, and what a big part of everything, the community, Matt Madness, DC is. I mean, we got to just hats off and props to DC for all of the creativity that you bring to the Whiskey Tube community, man. It's freaking awesome. So cool. Every time I get a private DM from DC, I'm like, oh, shit, what is this picture going to be? Because he's always sending me the edits before he posts them. C921 says Tight Cuts. Yeah, Hendo, I know, right? I know. But the Matt Porter style, when he did the whole bracket, I want to do a bracket like that. And I want to do it for ECBP. And I also want to do it for my Lucky 7 barrels to kind of see how these things stack up. Okay, we're getting a lot of people saying I should do this blind. I just skipped a lot of people in the chat. Andrew Kelly says, is that really fair? A good pick versus a standard shelf batch? I think it is fair because the pricing is correct. And the fact that picks of this are abundant. So we're not dealing with like a lack of availability on this. We're not dealing with a higher price or anything. This is a really, in my mind, a fair comparison, even though we're talking single barrel to batched product here. You know, it's as perfect as it could be with that understanding. Yeah, Peter, I've always heard the same thing. What's up, Mojo? Good to see you. Did Grease outscore Dutch in the finals? Yeah, I think that. But I mean, you can't really count that. Those were random guesses, right? But all right, let's get into it. Let me grab a few stickers so I can make this a blind. Okay. Let's do this. So in glass A, just so you guys know, I got to double sticker these. In glass A, we're going to have the bullet pick. Okay. And the other thing about this is that I have not tasted this bullet pick, nor have I tasted the Four Roses Small Batch Select for several months. So my palate familiarity in terms of like how recently I've tasted these things, I have zero familiarity at this point. I haven't had them in any blinds sent by anybody. So to me, it's a pretty fair comparison in that I don't think I'm going to just smell and taste them right away and know which one is which. And that's not the goal. The goal is just to pick the best pour out of these two. All right, so in glass B, Four Roses Small Batch Select. Want to make sure I pour an even amount in these glasses. Okay. Great. So we're going to mix these up a little bit here. Let me catch up on the chat. Oh, Sugar Kitty, great question. Do we know what the bullet pick recipe is? B3. B3. So I think that's the high rye and the strawberry yeast for this bullet pick. All right. So I do not know which glass is which at this point. Thank you, Amy. Click that like button, and everybody check out the Patreon, please. Coulter says B is for bullet. Come on now. Sorry, I messed that one up. Peter says, I'm working on a C917. I saw someone else called out C917 above. It is pretty good. To me, that's a kind of a tobacco-heavy batch. And it's good. It's not my favorite older batch. And Aiden, I'm with you, man. I love C919. God, so good. All right. We're going to start over here with this glass. All right. So whatever, this is considered glass 1. Let's check it out on the nose. All right. So on the nose right away, this is a little sharp for me. Yeah. A little bit antiseptic, if that's like a descriptor. I don't know, like something kind of not acetone, but it's definitely sharp on the nose. You know, cinnamon, as you could expect from both of these products. I should put them front and center here. Getting a good bit of cinnamon here on the nose. Not a whole lot of oak going on. But yeah, it's kind of like red fruit and atomic fireballs. I don't want to say that it's not enjoyable on the nose, but it's not my preference for a bourbon. All right, so we're not going to taste that yet. Let's go to the next glass and see what we get here. All right, so this is a much rounder nose to me. Yeah, holy crap. This is a lot sweeter and a lot fruitier. They're so freaking similar in terms of that cinnamon and that red fruit note. But again, we don't know if Bullet is actually Four Roses. We have no idea. Yeah, sharp. Wow, and this one just has some really nice candied fruit notes to it. Glass number 2 over here. I know in the reflection, or not reflection, but on the screen, I'm looking away from the screen so I don't see what is on the bottom of this glass. Yeah, so I'm going to have to give the nose between whatever one I'm smelling at this point is going to go to glass number 2 over here. This on the nose is fruitier. It's less aggressive on the alcohol. The other one just feels closed off and just a little too sharp for me. All right. So let's go ahead and taste glass number 1 and see what we get on the palate. Ooh, that's a spicy whiskey. It's much better on the palate than it smelled on the nose. I'm getting some nice, almost like rare breed caramel, where you're not talking like Heaven Hill caramel, which is deep and rich and thick. You're getting like a rare breed caramel on glass number 1, which is kind of that lighter bodied caramel. The cinnamon on this glass is making the finish last absolutely forever. So big points for this one on the finish. It's not necessarily big on the flavors in the finish, but it's really big on that cinnamon spice in the back of the palate. So we got to give it to that one. Glass 1 finish, fantastic. Much better on the nose, which is where it really lacked. Let's see, guys. We've got a lot of talk about different Elijah Craig batches going on here. Aiden says, C920 came out while I was quarantining with COVID. Didn't get as many as I would have liked. Still have 2, though. That's a great batch that I haven't visited in 3 or 4 months. I need to go back to that one. Justin Jenkins, I think WB Saffel has an awesome burnt brown sugar and orange note. Nice long finish. I like it, but not sure it's, yeah, the price. That's basically a $100 bottle. That's a tough one. What's up, Brian Walsh? Greetings, long time. Hope all is well. And everything is getting a little better day by day, just in terms of workload and health and everything like that. So, yeah, feeling pretty grateful recently, Brian. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well too. Sugar Kitty says, OBSO, show us your O face. No. High rye, rich fruit. Yeah. So if we were drinking a Four Roses pick, that's what I imagine batch B3 would be from Bullet, but who knows? Let's see. Okay. Brian, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate that. 2 entries into tonight's giveaway. Okay, guys. Mojo says A117 was pretty great. That is my all-time favorite batch, unblind, for Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Silly good. It's the best combination of sort of dusty and also like rich, thick, modern bourbon profile. Kind of reminds me of the Heaven Hill 17, actually, which is a comparison I would love to do if I had a bottle of Heaven Hill 17. But I only had it at a bar a few weeks ago. I did a written review on my Patreon. For those of you who might be interested, I'm getting the Patreon back up and running as I'm getting the channel back up and running. Heaven Hill 17 is good. It's just not quite worth the hype. And I think A117 might be a pretty good substitute for that. Although those are probably long gone. All right, back to glass 2 now on the palate. Wow. Wow. So, all right. So glass 2 is a little medicinal for me. We're getting, like I talked about on the nose, this was richer fruit, more candied fruit, a little bit sweeter and less sharp than glass number 1. On the palate, you're getting a little cough drop kind of note on here. All right. A little bit of that cherry, that Robitussin. It's not enough to be off-putting. I've gotten this note on, you get it on Calumet 15, but it's a little bit different. Definitely have gotten it on some tier 6 OESQ picks from Four Roses. You know, whatever, but it's very fruity. The finish is a little bit shorter actually than glass number 1. The flavors hang on longer, but the spice component does not last as long in the back of the palate. So after my first sip of these, glass 1, not quite it on the nose. Glass 2 definitely winning on the nose. Palate experience-wise and flavor profile, I like glass number 2. But finish, in terms of length, is glass number 1. In terms of substance, is glass number 2. So when I talk about finish, I don't know how you feel, those of you in the live chat. When I think about the finish that a whiskey has, it's not all about the length for me. Insert weird joke here. To me, it's about substance. It's not about the size of the boat. It's about the motion in the ocean, as they say. I think for me, I want the finish to be as comprehensive as possible, and I want the flavors on the palate to remain as long as possible. And then any extra spice left over after that is a bonus. It's really easy in my experience of blending at home, of tasting different products that come to market. It's really easy, and it's kind of a cheap fix to make the whiskey's finish be extremely long, but completely one-dimensional, only spice, only alcohol. That's easy. It's not easy to bring that to a whiskey that has a really solid foundation and a long-lasting palate experience before that spice lingers at the very end of the finish. That, to me, is a sign of a great whiskey. So this is tough because glass 1 really has the length. Glass 2 has the full-bodied experience, but I just wish it was a little longer overall. All right, so let me go back in one more nosing and tasting, and then we'll figure out which glass is which here. And again, for those of you just coming in, the comparison is a blind comparison right now of small batch select and a Bullet single barrel, which are the exact same proof. It could be from the same distillery, similar price point and availability, all that. They are not on any particular side for any reason. I just pulled them up on the table. Okay. A little breadiness, actually. A little breadiness in glass number 2 to go along with those richer fruit notes. I'll catch up on the chat in just a second. I just don't want to see any possible spoilers. Second sip of glass number 1, I like it a lot better. This might be a little tougher comparison than I thought, actually. Hendo, what's up, man? What has been your go-to bourbon lately? That's a great question. You know, I've been drinking a lot of these Lucky 7 14-year picks. I don't know that that's a fair answer because MSRP 150, secondary 200 to 250 on those. It's not the cheapest, most available thing. Give me one sec. I got to turn around and look again. Yeah. So it's a combination of things. I don't know that it's a bourbon. I can't get my hands off of the Michter's 10 Rye, which I opened the stream with. I'm also really drinking a lot of the Redemption 10-year high rye bourbon in the squat bottles back here. I seriously love that stuff. Yeah, I drink Eagle Rare picks quite a bit. So that's kind of where my head's at right now. And then also I always go back to Elijah Craig Barrel Proof A117, A119, C919. Those are the batches that I find myself drawn to. Let's see. Guys, if you're in here hanging out tonight, thank you. There's 69 of you in here. 69, that's how many points I scored in the last 2 rounds of Matt Madness. I promise I'm not going to keep bringing up Matt Madness, but that was a great experience. Thank you for hanging out. Please hit that like button if you wouldn't mind. We're going to wrap up this comparison. Coulter, I do have both of these bottles, the new High Bank Barrel Selects. I've only tried the Madeira finish, which is very reminiscent of like a barrel-proof Midwinter Night's Dram. Pretty good. I dig it. This is hilarious, Aiden. Everybody read this. Where do you keep the Heaven Hill 17? It's in a Facebook group. That's where it's at. Okay. Let's go to glass 2. Wow. That is kind of a short finish on glass 2. I'm not going to lie. I have a hunch on which glass is which. You guys might as well, based on some of what I've said about both of these pours so far. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do one more sip. God, the nose on this is just too closed off. Too alcoholic. It gets better and better, though, as I sip glass 1. There's actually a little bit of milk chocolate on that now, which I don't think I've gotten from either one of these before. All right. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to give the finish to glass 1. I'm going to give the nose and the palate to glass 2. I don't want to score them right now, but I'm going to say the winner of this blind is glass 2. And we'll talk about it at the end now that I see what these are. So let me check out what glass 1 is. Okay. Glass 1 is B, which is Four Roses Small Batch Select. So this is the loser. This has a better finish in some ways. And obviously the winner is then the Bullet Single Barrel. Okay. Now I could have guessed that based on especially that first impression. As you continue tasting these back and forth, they get more and more similar, which is interesting. A lot of times you feel like if you dig more into these pours on the nose, on the palate, you're going to start to separate things and get more detail. These just blended together more and more. So it's almost like you just want to go off the first impression and roll with that. Here's why I think the finish is better on Small Batch Select. This is a blended product. So there are a few things you can control here. Just by virtue of the fact that you can blend things together and get a particular profile that you want. And they know that they're going to bottle this at 104 proof, right? I think when you're doing that, when you have the ability to blend together, your concern in this case, because you're not blending a premium product, is to create the best possible drinking experience and have it be on profile for the distillery, you know? And one of those easily controllable factors is actually the finish. Especially with Four Roses, we're dealing with 6 recipes. You can add some different high rye recipes to add to the drinking experience, give it a little more spice and punch. If that makes even maybe a less refined whiskey, at least we have the drinking experience and the finish. Whereas when you're bottling a single barrel, with this, like, you're looking for a lot of different things because you have barrel to barrel variants, which can range from, you know, being extremely similar to drastically different. This to me is more about finding something that's a great combination of proof, profile, finish, everything like that. And you don't have the tweaks. You can't make any of those tweaks. And you know that this is getting bottled also at a particular proof. So it's that trade-off. It's the construction of a whiskey, the blending of a whiskey, the careful attention to detail versus straight out of the barrel, add a little bit of water, and this is the profile you get. Me personally, I will take a whiskey that is more subjective to my palate, more on profile for me in terms of flavors, even if it's slightly less on the finish, slightly rougher around the edges, you know, it's not put together super well. If I love the flavors, I love the whiskey, and I'll get over the other stuff. Some people are the opposite. Some people want the big whiskeys, always want the long finishes. You typically hear like Jason from the Mash and Drum talk about he loves a long finish. There's nuance to that, you know, and I'm not claiming to know from his point of view or anybody else's point of view what they think, but I do think that some people would gravitate in this lineup that I just did to this bottle because of the finish. It's just not how I am. So you always have to be clear about how you're judging things, and that's why I wanted to do this little kind of discussion. Aiden says, I hated Small Batch Select when I tried it. Yeah, I don't come back to this. After tasting it now, I would say get to your second sip. The first sip is not exciting, which kind of like rare breed to me, actually. I need to sit with rare breed for like 10 minutes. I'm also waiting on Matt. I got to defend the belt. I got to defend the belt. All right. What's up, Paul? Thank you for the $20 super chat, man. And you have a great package in the mail. I'm excited for you to get all those bottles. Tom Lynch, what's up, man? Just found out that you won Matt Madness. Congrats. Thank you so much, Tom. And cheers to Columbus's top whiskey taster. That, I don't know about that. We'll see. There's a lot of whiskey going on in Columbus and a lot of people with whiskey channels. So I don't know about that. Aiden, something I say often is that preference and quality standards, yes, are completely separate things. Otherwise, nobody would ever buy American cheese. That's a great point. Yeah. Look, it's hard to be so when you're judging whiskey, I think if for instance, if I were judging San Francisco or the Ascot Awards and I was doing everything blind, I think you have to get out of your own, what's the word? Like, not idiosyncrasies, maybe idiosyncrasies, but your own preferences. You got to get out of your own flavor preferences and evaluate objectively. And if I evaluated these objectively, this would be a much, much harder decision to make of which one is better. And I would probably lean towards the small batch select because of that overall kind of experience. Yeah. Guys, thank you for the super chats tonight. Every $5 in super chats gets you one entry into tonight's giveaway. As you can see down here, it's a sample pack of all of the Old Forester 117 releases. So that is exciting. All right, 26 entries so far. Let's get some more in there. And if we get more in there, I'll add a second prize. We'll do it. All right, guys, let's get out of this comparison here. Thank you for humoring me. I think this is one worth doing on your own time, especially if you get a couple of different bullet single barrels. If you had like 2 or 3 of these up against small batch select and you blinded them all, I think that'd be a really cool comparison to do on your own. All right. Let's get into the Old Forester celebration, I guess. The celebration of Jackie Zykan and all of the stuff that she brought to market in the 117 series from Old Forester. Aiden says, I get a lot of people at work who are like, what's your favorite? I'll buy that. And I have to be like, my preference doesn't matter. I'm not buying it. Yeah. The first thing I do, like, so I've been in like Total Wine out of state or in different whiskey/liquor stores. And there was one time in Iowa about a year ago, I was in a liquor store and someone, I don't know if they thought that I worked there. I can't remember what it was. Maybe I was talking to some people that I was with about whiskeys. And this guy comes up to me and he's like, hey, man, I've been starting to get into rye whiskey. What do you recommend for me? And this was right around the time that the distribution of Elijah Craig Straight Rye had taken off. And the first thing you do is that you have to ask them a couple of questions. You got to ask them, like, what do you normally drink? Do you really like it? Like, what are you looking for in a whiskey? Do you want a big, bold experience? You want something kind of smooth and sweet? Ask a couple of these questions, and you can start very quickly narrowing them down, especially price point. Price point narrows a lot of stuff down. And this guy, we ended up settling on the Elijah Craig Straight Rye, and I felt like I gave him a pretty good recommendation. A lot of people are so on that. I think that's a great bourbon drinker's rye whiskey, and he was clearly coming over from bourbon into rye. So I felt like that would be a decent one there. DC Wilderness Trail. Dude, I have not had any Wilderness Trail except for one time in a blind. I really need to get into those. Eric Sawyer, thank you for the super chat. And he says, hi, Tom. All right. So I'm going to continue mixing up this blind flight here of 4 pours. I mixed them up before the stream. I'll tell you this right now. I labeled these A, B, C, and D in the order that they were released. So for those of you just now joining us, or those that have been waiting on this comparison, this is what tonight's giveaway is based on. It's the Old Forester 117 series. These are half bottles that are released at the distillery and in select Kentucky retailers. $50 MSRP, which makes this about a $100 bottle at SRP. Secondary on these is about $200 to $250 per half bottle. So it's very expensive on secondary. The 4 pours that we have in this series so far, we have the High Angels Share Batch 1. All right. We have High Angels Share Batch 2. We have Warehouse K barrels, and we have the 1910 Extra Old. Now, both High Angels Share batches and the Warehouse K are 110 proof, and the 1910 Extra Old is at 93 proof. So there's 1 proof difference in this flight, but I'm letting it go. I'm letting it be what it is. And we're going to do this blind. So like I said, they're released, labeled A, B, C, and D. A is High Angels Share Batch 1. B is Warehouse K. C is High Angels Share Batch 2. And D is 1910 Extra Old. These are all mixed up. The labels are on the bottom, double stickered, so I can't see through the glass and see what I'm drinking. I'm not going to cheat and look in the screen and see what's on the bottom of the glass as I nose these. So we're going to start over here from your left to right. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And at the end of this comparison, I will rank these in a particular order. Okay, so that's what we're doing tonight. Let me make sure everything's good. Okay, let's get to it. Let me know if you have any thoughts on how this is going to go in terms of these 4 releases. If you had the chance to try all of them, some of them, none of them, how you see this going. All right, so let's start with glass 1. And I'm gonna tell you this up front. These are all fantastic whiskeys, right? Jackie Zykan did a fantabulous job of putting these together, and will be sorely missed at Old Forester. All right, we're starting to see some opinions coming in here in the chat. All right, so glass number 1, sharp, a little bit sharp on the nose. We're dealing with fairly young whiskey in all of these, so that's okay. Great cinnamon bark, a little bit of milk chocolate. This is not sharp atomic fireball cinnamon. This is like some sweet kind of cinnamon bark. Some vanilla hanging out in the background, which is deceptive for this because these are young whiskeys. To find vanilla, kind of that sweeter, creamier vanilla, which suggests a lot of extra age in the barrel. That's a really nice thing. So I like this so far on the nose. Glass number 1 in the lineup. Some green apple in here. And in terms of overall profile, I think everything's working together pretty darn well here for glass number 1. Yeah, I like it. A little bit sour, a little bit spicy, kind of crisp, somewhat tannic on the nose, but sweet. I dig it. There's a lot of complexity and a lot of components in glass number 1. And instead of really talking about flavors and stuff, I want to go through this and really think about the construction of the whiskey, especially because all of these are blends. They've been controlled. They're not single barrel profiles. And so you can imagine that putting these together, you're trying to get the best out of every component that you're dealing with as you blend them. Tight Cuts was only able to grab a bottle of the Warehouse K. Dustin thinks that High Angels Share Batch 1, which is glass A, somewhere in the lineup, will be first place. Guys, if I'm missing things in the chat, I do apologize. I'm doing my best here. I'm trying to get into the whiskey tonight. So we just had a sharp drop off of viewership. I know the likes are on at 9 p.m. So if you're flipping back and forth, if you're checking out the likes, I totally understand. But thank you for hanging out, the 41 of you that are still here. Hit that like button. Let's get some more people in the house. Remember about tonight's giveaway, which is a sample flight of everything I'm tasting right now blind. Let's get back to it. Even some leather in glass 1. Dang, that's fantastic. I just came back to that. I am digging the nose on glass 1. Let's go to glass number 2 now. Wow, glass number 2 is lighter on the nose in terms of proof and in terms of profile. Maybe not, actually. No, it's actually a darker profile, but it does feel a little bit less intense. I don't know if it's a lower proof, though. Remember, 3 of these are 110 and 1 is at 93 proof. I don't know that this is like, I know the 1910 Extra Old might stand out because of the proof. This could be it. I'm only 2 glasses in, but it also might not be it. It could just be a less intense profile. Yeah. This has a little more plum, darker fruits. They're still getting a kind of this young green apple note, green apple skin. Now the proof is starting to creep back up. There's starting to be a little more alcohol on the nose, but I'm getting some more plum on glass number 2. That's interesting. It feels slightly less complex than glass number 1, but I don't know. I'm going to take some notes on my phone just so I don't forget. So Old Forester 117, let's say glass 1, complex nose, glass 2, darker, maybe less complex. Let's say that. Let's go to glass number 3 on the nose. Oh, wow. Glass 3 is very different than the previous 2. Interesting. Eric Sawyer, heading over to Abandoned Bourbon. Cheers all. Hope I win those samples. Cheers, Eric. Good to see you. Thanks for jumping in here. And tell those guys I say hello. I know every night for live streams is a busy night at this point. Tight Cut says, I'm sure an Angel Share will have to take it. We'll see. We will see. Robotic, I love this. Angel Share should not exist. Just build another barrel over the barrel to catch it. Then wrap the whole thing in a bag. Sous vide. Am I doing this right? That's funny. Thank you, Mom, for the $5 super chat. Marty, don't enter Julie Leach into the giveaway. The house is not playing tonight. All right, so I'm getting a ton of freshly, freshly baked bread, like biscuits. Glass 3 is very bready. Very sweet, too. Baked goods, bread. This is the darkest nose of the bunch. It's also the lightest. This could be that 1910 Extra Old. I don't want to pretend like I don't think that could be the case. Yeah, very dark nose. Dark chocolate, freshly baked bread, yeasty. It's actually yeasty like the Glenmorangie Alta, if you guys have ever had that scotch. All right. But fundamentally different than glasses 1 and 2. Let's go to glass number 4 now. Glass 4. Damn. Marty says she entered for me. Let's do it. Marty, put yourself in the giveaway. Put yourself in there under my mom's super chat. Why not? Wow. This is going to be a really tough comparison. So glass 3, the note's going to say low proof, yeast, bread, dark chocolate. Glass 4, what is going on here? Guys, let me know what you're sipping on. Those of you in the live chat, thank you so much for hanging out again tonight. I really, really appreciate it. Spending your Thursday evening here on Drums and Drams. Celebrating Matt Madness in the beginning of the stream, doing a little comparison. Now we're on to a blind flight of Old Forester 117 to celebrate Jackie Zykan and her time at Old Forester, which is coming to an end in about 2 weeks. And then we're going to wrap up this stream with a little craft whiskey comparison before we draw for the giveaway. All right, so I thought glass 4 was really killing it on first impression on the nose, but I don't know so much at this point. I got to do a quick little side-by-side of all of these. How do you choose? These are all fantastic whiskeys. I really like Glass One though. Wow. Some great whiskey here. As I went back through that comparison, glass number 3, which I said was kind of bready and yeasty, you're getting a little black tea note here, which is something that I'm hit or miss on depending on the particular whiskey. I don't know about this one. I don't know if black tea is a great note for this one. Mm. Yeah. All right. I can rank these on the nose so far. I can rank these on the nose. That's kind of hilarious, actually. It's going to go straight in order. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the nose is how I see this going. All right. So that's straight up high to low on the nose. I think glass number 1 has the most complexity. It's intense, but not young feeling. Glass number 2 is just slightly lesser than that with a slightly darker profile. It's a real big toss-up between those two. Glass number 3, while it feels more relaxed, possibly the 1910 Extra Old, there's something really comprehensive about the nose. I love the darkness, the richness on it. And then glass 4 is just too sharp and young for me. Yeah, not a lot going on in glass 4 on the nose. So let's go and check this out on the palate. I'm going to start with glass number 1. We'll do the same order on the palate. Ooh. Man. All of these whiskeys, the higher proof ones in particular, from having had them before, they are intense. We're talking about younger whiskey. Glass 1 balances out big, juicy profile with the intensity of kind of a younger whiskey. I think that's a great opening sip to this flight. Wow. There's almost King of Kentucky vanilla in glass 1, which is crazy. Crazy to say that. Damn, glass 1 is smoking. That is insane. Andrew Kelly says, I'm comparing Matt Porter versus Dan and Sean's Nassif blends. Matt is basically light whiskey. Bourbon Junkies tastes like it could have some Canadian. Bourbon Junkies is better for me. I don't have the Bourbon Junkies Nassif blend. I do have Matt's. Truthfully, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I just I don't like light whiskey. So I've had a few that are better than others, but I cannot get into light whiskey. I can't get into finished light whiskey. It doesn't matter what you do to it. It's just not my profile. So it is what it is. But that's an interesting comparison. I've also compared some other channels' picks. I did the Bourbon Junkies versus Mash and Journey on the Penelope picks that they did. I cannot remember who came out on top, but both of those didn't hold anything to my Seal Box pick number 2, the Breaking the Seal Part 2. That is a freaking awesome Penelope pick. Nothing against Mash and Journey and Bourbon Junkies, but that Seal Box pick was phenomenal. Let's see, Aiden, any thoughts on Saffel? It isn't sold here. I'm just going to go on my memory. I don't think it's worth snagging. I think you go buy a rare breed and you're good, or a Russell's pick. Saffel to me was just kind of thin and young. It didn't even have the richness of rare breed, which I think is still lacking just a little bit in terms of like heaviness and viscosity on the palate. Not that rare breed's not a great whiskey. It's a freaking great whiskey. But I just think Saffel is kind of a step down. It's like a thinner version and younger version of rare breed to me. I don't know. Could be my bottle. Let's see. Okay, let's go to glass 2 now. Yeah, so glass 2, a more focused, darker profile here. Yes. More plum, grape, blackberry, that kind of a vibe. Darker all the way around. Damn, that is good. That to me feels more like a single barrel where you have a distinct profile in this glass, whereas glass number 1 felt like a highly constructed, extremely complex blended whiskey that doesn't have a lot of faults to it. Glass number 2, this is like the comparison in some ways to the Four Roses and the Bullet that we just did. Glass number 1 feels more like the Four Roses. Glass number 2 is feeling more like the Bullet in that singular profile. Justin, it would be great if they released a cask strength 1910. Oh, yeah. I haven't tried Holiday Toast. I'm just not so hot on freaking toasted barrels anymore, man. There's too many of them. And they're too many of them are astringent and bitter and funky. Greg McDonald, Cam, nice to see you back to streaming on a regular basis. For a while, there are more sightings of Bigfoot than you on WhiskeyTube. Amen. Cheers and congrats on your Matt Madness win. Thank you, Greg. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Appreciate you being here. And yeah, like I said in my last stream, it's going to be a drums and drams summer. This is going to take a lot of my time this summer, and I'm excited about it. Videos, streams, everything. What's up, James? Local name here. Congrats on winning Matt Madness. Currently sipping some cherry Dr. Pepper rye. Nice, man. Nice. Andrew Moore. Limited selection at my current location. I killed my maker's pick in early times bottled and bond. Do I work on my Ardbeg or crack Calumet 16, Heaven Hill, or Uncut Unfiltered? The last two are trade ammo. And they can, in my opinion, they can stay trade ammo. Heaven Hill bottled and bond 7, get that out of there. That's just my opinion. The 6-year to me, while it's a little less intense on the palate in terms of spice, it's a thicker profile, a richer, creamier, sweeter, all the way around. The 7-year to me is like a thin, nutty lemon cake type profile that I just don't like. Uncut Unfiltered, I still haven't had a batch that's wowed me. I think you're going to have better luck with some other MGP single barrels at a younger age. I don't know. But Calumet 16, I say crack it. I say crack that. And you're either going to love it or you're going to be meh about it. I'm a little meh about it right now, but I need to do a comparison to the 15-year. Tight cuts. I put an imaginary penny to get to the $5. That's all good, man. It is. You're not in the giveaway. You didn't do $5. Bubble bath. See you later, man. I can't get into light whiskey. I'm sorry. Aiden, I don't think it's 13 years. No, I don't think so. If it is, then it's the shittiest 13-year wild turkey I've ever had. There's another one in that lineup. Old starts with an R. What is it? Old something. And I know that's maybe the most sought after from that Whiskey Baron series. And I haven't had it yet. I can't remember the name of that bottle. Paul Graham, thank you for another $20 super chat, man. And I appreciate the congratulations. So, all right, before I continue here, let me have another sip. Glasses 1 and 2 are going to be a preference thing. I can already tell you that. Glass 3 on the palate. Yeah, that's the 1910 Extra Old. I can't even pretend to not know that. If I have a pet peeve on WhiskeyTube, it's when people pretend to not know what they're drinking in blinds. You don't have to know, but if you have an inclination and everything is going to be colored by that inclination, you should just say what that inclination is. Well, because of the lower proof, glass 3 is much shorter on the finish. But damn, when that profile is hanging around, it is so dense and so rich and delicious. Yeah. Good stuff. Ripey? Rippy? How do you say that? Is it Ripey? Old Ripey? Paul says, now when you say it's just my opinion, it has a whole new meaning. Champion opinion. I don't know about that, but it's just a game. It's just a game. It's like test taking. It's like test taking, but you also got to know whiskey. Okay, so Saffel is a blend of 6, 8, 10, and 12. I'll pull that down at the end of the stream if I have a chance to. Maybe at the end of this blind, I'll do the Saffel sort of quick review. Dustin, so I don't know about this. I've only had the Old Fitz 15, and it was in a blind flight sent to me. I think it was the Old Fitz 15 that Matt Porter sent me in a blind, and it was unbelievable how good it was. I don't know about the other ones. I can say that the 15, though, if I could find a bottle of the 15, I would go for that. I keep hearing that the 17 is amazing. I would love to do 14, 15, 16, 17 compared side by side. The only chance I'll ever have to get any of those bottles is secondary, and to get all 4 of those is probably close to like $2,500. There's no way I could drop that kind of money on those bottles. Tight Cuts, Bond, and Lillard, I have that up there too. That's even worse than Saffel for me. Like, to me, that's not even worth. Like, I did a comparison for my patrons a few months back on those two. Saffel is definitely better, and I'll taste it tonight. That's fine. But the Bond and Lillard was not it. Not it. All right, glass number 4. All right, glass number 4 on the palate. So glass 4 is very closed off on the nose, but on the palate, you get a lot more sour red fruit in here. That's like bright cherry, bright raspberry, kind of, those kind of notes. A little bit medicinal on glass 4. Almost like a Four Roses profile on glass number 4, actually. Yeah. Wow. So this is interesting that this lineup, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the nose is the order I would put them in. And on the palate, it might be the same thing. Here's the thing with these. I'm not going to get super specific on the finish of these. A lot of times when I taste whiskey, I know I talked about finish on the last comparison I did, on the Four Roses and Bullet. I don't like to get too anal about the finish. I like to just think of the drinking experience as a whole. If you want to call that palate, if you just want to call that taste, if you want to call it drinking experience, whatever you want to consider the actual sipping of the whiskey, I don't always like to break it down palate finish. I do it sometimes in writing when I do written reviews. I do it sometimes when I talk about it. Other times I just like to talk about the development of the whiskey as you taste it. Because, yeah, like a dick measuring contest, like we talked about earlier with the length of the finish of a particular whiskey, is not always the greatest measure of that whiskey. I think more in terms of, is it appropriate for the proof and for the profile? And then does it go above and beyond? If it is appropriate, is it just appropriate, or does it go above and beyond? So that's where I'm at. I can tell you the winner for this flight is glass number 1. Hands down, without a doubt, glass number 1 is the winner. So this is going to be a battle for second place on the palate, okay? And that's going to be between glasses 2 and 4. So let's get into that a little bit here. I can tell you the nose, I like glass 2, but the palate could be a different story. Remember, 2 is a little darker, a little more singularly focused, like a single barrel profile. And glass 4 is a little more medicinal, but a lot of bright candied red fruit, like a Four Roses pick. So let's go to glass 2 on the palate. Man, I like that. It's so dark and rich. Wow. All right, now to glass 4. Yeah, younger feel. I like the red fruit, but it's just, we're going to go with that order. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't believe it ended up in that order, but it did. So let's check it out. Let's see what wins here. Remember, if you guys want to do this comparison with me and you don't own these bottles, you can enter tonight's giveaway. Every $5 super chat enters you to win a flight of all 4 of these Old Forester 117 pours in honor of Jackie Zykan's legacy at Old Forester. Get those super chats in. Marty, Whiskey Nose, is keeping track of those. Let's check this out. We're going to start with glass 4 in 4th place. Glass number 4 in 4th place. This is B. And B is... Right. B is Warehouse K. So Warehouse K gets last place in this flight. So for those of you, keeping track at home that know these pours, that might not be a surprise for you. That's interesting. That's what I would have thought would have happened in this. So barring any upsets or anything like that. But I still have never done all of these side by side or blind. Wow. All right. In 3rd place, glass number 3, pretty easy to guess. This is probably the extra old. Yes, this is glass D, which is the 1910 extra old. All right. That is a great whiskey. It is not worth $200 to $250 on secondary. No way in hell. But it is a really interesting take on some additional age to that secondary barreling of the 1910. I have done a comparison between 1910 extra old, the old label 1910, and now the new label 1910. And it's a toss-up between this and the new label 1910. That new label is fan-freaking-tastic at about half the price. So if you didn't have this, you're really not missing out on too much. Go grab that new label bottle. It's a darker profile than it used to be in the old label. All right. Let's see. Andrew Kelly says see below. Okay. We'll see. Did I miss something here? Let me see. I don't know. Oh, here we go. It's not just a game. If we want to raise the prestige of Whiskey Tube and Matt Madness, you have to take pride in that win and expound upon it whenever given the chance. Okay, that's an interesting perspective on this, actually. A good perspective. Andrew, part of my personality, not just with, I don't put on a front with Whiskey Tube or anything like that. Like some people have a character they play. Grease is a great example of that. Grease has a fantastic character that he plays on Whiskey Tube. I'm not good at that kind of thing. I've never really tried that. So I wear my heart on my sleeve, whether it's with Whiskey Tube or with music or just me in real life with my wife, and yeah, I have a hard time. I mean, I'm confident in a lot of the stuff I do. Like I like the last 2 rounds of Matt Madness, I knew I had that shit. I'll tell you that straight away. I knew I had it. When I smelled the pours, I was like, we got this. This is good. And I feel that way with music too, but I do try to really not, because I'm not good at playing a character, even joking wise, to be like the kind of the loud chest beating, hyping everything up. I have a hard time with that. So I try to lay low and be, as modest as I can be with stuff like this, because it feels weird to be kind of hyped about it. But that's a good point, that we do want to legitimize the Whiskey Tube community. And in fact, here's the thing. I think Whiskey Tube has some of the best whiskey tasters in the world. Yeah, there's probably like quite a few people who in their spare time are tasting things. They don't have a channel, all that kind of stuff. But they're probably, a lot of them might be involved in Whiskey Tube, like you guys hanging out in the chat that might not have channels, that are enthusiasts who have tasted whiskey for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it might be. I think some of the best whiskey tasting probably happens here in terms of like objective evaluation of whiskey stats, opinions, blending. Like I don't think it's too exclusive to the industry or there's some upper echelon of critic out there that's far, far beyond a lot of the people in this community. So you're right. We do actually need to legitimize the community as much as we can, because I think it's kind of a weirdly untapped resource. And the cool thing is that Fred Minnick brought on whiskey tubers in the Ascot Awards to help judge. I love that. That is the crossover that we need from the industry to the influencer / enthusiast world. We need that crossover. Before I get to that, Marty, 34 entries. Awesome. Cam next for Old Forester Master Taster. I'm telling you, Amy, if there was an open job listing, I would be applying, and that's where all of my attention would be going. Robotic says, ride the victory. Use it to formulate your desired plan of action for what you want this channel, Whiskey Tube, and your whiskey journey to be. Your win made this way easier to do. Why squander that? Yeah, I definitely don't want to squander that kind of thinking about the opportunity, you know? I have some thinking to do about this in general, you know? But the growth on the channel, like just from winning the competition, I think I've gotten like 150 subscribers straight away, which is crazy for me. You know, those kind of numbers are impactful at this level. And especially for someone who is just now finally, after months and months and months of saying, I'm coming back, finally in earnest coming back. This is like the perfect storm of things. And I do think it can help catapult Drums and Drams. So I'm very, very stoked about that. All right. In second place, this is where it comes down to it. If I were to guess ahead of time how this was going to go, I would say both High Angels share batches are going to end up in places 1 and 2. I have traditionally liked the batch 1 the best. Whoever said that earlier, it might have been Dustin. That's been my favorite. I legitimately do not know which is which in the top 2. So let me tell you what the winner is now. The winner of the Old Forester 117 series, brought to you by Jackie Zykan, almost former master taster of Old Forester. The winner is High Angels Share Batch 2. Wow. Wow. As Owen Wilson would say. Hey, give me a second. Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm going to talk about it in a second, but I've been talking a lot, so let me go to the super chats. I got to skip you, Aiden. Whiskey Knows says, Whiskey Tube, we put it out there, and we hope we find people that feel the same as we do and create new friendships, just like tonight. Hell yeah. Absolutely, man. Dude, we got to collaborate. And I know I had messaged you back or said something to you about collaborating 6 months ago, 9 months ago, whenever that was. We got to collab on something. Now that I'm really getting back to it, we got to make this happen. And same with 21090. Cheers to you guys. Is it Todd or Andy? How's the champ doing tonight? Come on now. Is it Todd? Let's see. Todd in the house. It looks like it is Todd. Bubble Bass says you can still send a resume. There we go, Andrew. I'm just going to go hang out at Old Forester. I'm just going to sit there and wait until someone comes out and asks me what I'm doing there, and then just hand them a resume. Andrew Moore says he called it. Interesting. Paul P., thank you for the super chat and supporting tonight. Entering into the giveaway. Jackie will be missed at Old Forester. Yeah. Amy, that's it. I'm writing a real honest-to-God letter. Amy, don't. Yeah, I mean, shit, that would be. And can we do? You can do like Grease did in the Bourbon Junkies group. Was that yesterday or 2 days ago? You did a petition on change.org to make Matt stop doing rare breed content. You can just go to change.org. Wow, I cannot believe the way this ended up tonight. Here's what I said, though. I gave myself an out. I said it's a mood thing between 1 and 2. I actually didn't know which was which because I don't know that I've sat down and done super intense tasting notes side by side on High Angel Share batch 1 and 2. So the winner tonight, batch 2, which I didn't expect, I said this was a little brighter, but more complex. And it had this vanilla, like that vanilla cream note that reminded me of King of Kentucky. And even the mouthfeel, it has that velvety soft thing. Hang on. Let's get the King out. Well, it's not a fair comparison, but damn, there are some similarities. I know King of Kentucky's 14 years old, much higher proof. You know, the vanilla quality, the aged quality is amazing. It's a little dusty. But High Angel Share Batch 2 has some similarities, I'm telling you. Wow. Let's go to the second place, which is High Angel Share Batch 1. Like I said, this is a singular focused profile. More plum, more dark fruit, but not that vanilla, not as much bright cinnamon spice and stuff like that. It's a mood thing. It could go either way, but they're both freaking awesome. And I just bought a backup this week, another backup of High Angel Share Batch 1. And now I'm thinking I might have to trade that for a High Angel Share Batch 2 because I don't know. It won this blind. What a tough call. So whoever wins tonight's giveaway is going to also hopefully be experiencing what I'm experiencing if you get the chance to do these all side by side. This is a tough call between these two High Angel Share batches. The other two were a little more obvious for me. 1910 Extra Old is a clear third place. Warehouse K is just sharp and young. But when I say sharp and young, it's not bad. The nose is a little choked, a little young. The palate is like a good Four Roses pick to me. So we're splitting hairs here, you know, but anyways. We will soon. Okay. Good. 21090, sipping on one of my favorite bottles. Yeah, I bought 2 of 2022. Your Middle West pick with Drew. Absolutely amazing bottle. Let me go grab that. So, yeah, I have, I think, 2 backups left of this. I gave one away last week. I gave another one away to Paul Graham in the chat. It's on the way, and a big box of goodies that I sent Paul. And Hank Baranko, who I believe is Henry B in the chat. Let me make sure. Sorry if I outed your real name, Henry B. Let me go back in the chat because I think Henry was in here tonight, right? Let me scroll up. Sorry, everybody. Let's see. DC Henry. Oh no, it was a different Henry. But Hank Baranko, Hank B reached out and wanted to get a bottle of this, and they were sold out on Sealbox, so I sent him one at cost. So I'm down to 2 backups of this. I don't know that I can get rid of another one. I may have a giveaway for it later. But I am kind of stoked that this is my first barrel pick I was ever a part of. So keeping 2 backups seems maybe a little more appropriate. Anyways, let's have a little sip of this and see what's going on. It's a good bottle. It's, you know, the extra time in the barrel, it took them too long to bottle this thing, unfortunately. It's not as sweet and smooth as it used to be. And I say smooth in a non-ironic way. It was really just like It was the best E.H. Taylor single barrel at barrel proof that you've ever had when we picked this thing. Man, it's still good though. There's some grit to this thing. There's some freaking grit to this. If you guys don't know Middle West Spirits here in Columbus, Ohio, I am telling you, give this some time. They're going to blow up. This whiskey, the 4-grain wheated and the dark pumpernickel rye whiskey they have are some of the best craft whiskeys in the world. I feel like at this point I can pretty confidently say I've tasted a lot of craft whiskey. I have not tasted as much as Drew P. He did the 100 craft whiskeys thing this year or last year. I don't know that I've tasted 100, but I've tasted a lot of craft whiskey. Middle West, far and away, is probably the top of that, along with like Driftless Glen. Amazing. Van says, cheers, Cam. Thank you so much. And thank you for the $20 super chat, getting in on the giveaway. Really appreciate the support of the channel. And that's a new name. Van, how do you say your last name? Renoir? How do you say that? 210 says, of course it's Todd. Andy's too busy watching pirated live streams of the Def Leppard Motley Crue kickoff concert tonight. That's on brand. That's definitely on brand. Tight Cut says, don't drink the Saffel and mess up the orchestra in your mouth. I don't know about that. I have not had whiskey from a Cabernet glass, but look, Darrell Stewart posts pictures in the Bourbon Junkies group. If you guys, see Darrell's posts, and he has, it's not a Cabernet glass, but it's a really tall, wide whiskey glass. And I've been thinking about trying something like that. Whiskey Nose says 44 entries. We need to get to 50. That would be great. 50 entries would be fantastic. 21090 Cam, has this bottle changed much? Yes, it changed a lot. Higher proof, more choked off. It needs a lot of airtime for me, or a couple drops of water. It's one of these things that if they could have pulled that barrel and bottled it immediately and not let it sit through the rest of last summer into the fall, I think this whiskey would be a lower proof, and I think it would be much sweeter. And I'm not kidding. It tasted like E.H. Taylor single barrel at barrel proof when we picked it. Now it has a little more grain, a little more grit to it. Kind of that almost gravel, granite kind of mouthfeel, that texture, that minerality, not in a Dickel flavor way, but in a texture way. It has more of that than when we picked it. It's hotter. There's more cinnamon going on. So it needs time to open up and calm down. I'm bummed that these are 30-gallon barrels. The influence is so expedited on smaller barrels. So I wish they would have pulled it sooner and bottled it sooner. But, COVID, distribution problems, whatever else. That's not to say it's not a great pour. I think it is a really good pour. It actually beat Stag Junior Batch 17 for me. But I think it could do even better. Paul Graham, thank you again. Dude, another $20 super chat. Van, thank you for another $5 super chat. Amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Oh, wow. We got 50 entries. Thank you, Amy, for getting us there. Done and done. Cheers, Cam and Marty. And cheers to you, Amy. One of the biggest supporters of the channel for a long time. You are incredible. Aiden, I did a pick with Drew P. Whiskey. It was not my pick. It was with Drew P. Entry Proof Podcast, Brian Bikey, Abandoned Bourbon. And Tom Lynch, who was in the chat earlier, he's definitely over on Drew P. stream right now. So they invited me along, and I was there to help pick it. But Middle West has basically told me that I have the ability to pick one of their dark pumpernickel rye whiskeys. So I'm going to take them up on that offer as soon as I can, and hopefully start to get into doing barrel picks as I bring the channel back. But I don't want to shoot my shot on barrel picks too quickly. I want to just bring things back, grow the channel more, and slowly but surely get there. Go through the progression, craft whiskeys into main distilleries, et cetera, et cetera. 210. Yeah, it is like a better Todd. It is a better Stag Junior to me. Because Stag Junior tastes young. Sorry, I don't care who you are, unless you're talking batch 12 or some other particular batches. They're generally tasting a little younger. This does taste like a young whiskey, but it has so much more grit and complexity than a Stag Junior, particularly batch 17 for me. We got a little OHIO. Okay. All right. Andrew Kelly, dark pumpernickel sounds intriguing. Yeah, it sounds like it could be really off-putting. I promise you, it's not. It is not like a weird rye or anything like that. It's not that craft whiskey kind of High Plains rye, or what is it called? Cream of Kentucky bottled and bond rye. It's not that funky thing going on. It's just a fantastic whiskey. 21090 says, I would have never experienced Middle West if it wasn't for Cam's Patreon. So check it out and get in on the fun. Thank you. I appreciate the support, especially in a time where I've been lax on the Patreon and now bringing it back. I do appreciate that support. Paul Graham, I've had a bottle of this. It's head-to-head with Stag Junior, 60 versus 250, especially secondary for Stag Junior. Hell yeah, Paul. Thank you. Dank Pumpernickel. I think I went to high school with That's great. All right. Yeah. Okie dokie. What are we doing? Tell me in the chat. I have one final comparison that I promised that we would do tonight before the giveaway, which is a pair of Colorado craft whiskeys. But there was some talk about tasting quickly the WB Saffel on this stream. Do you guys either want me to taste WB Saffel or not? And if you do want me to taste it, should I do it before or after this Colorado whiskey comparison? Please let me know in the next 60 seconds what you think in the chat. James is local, and I missed your super chat. Second pour of C919. Yeah, you can't do that batch. Once you go to that batch, you're not drinking other whiskey that night. It's like 68.3, I think, is the proof. Yeah, 68.3%, maybe. I don't have it in front of me, but it's like once you go to C919, you're going to end your night on that. So we're going to go WB Saffel. It looks like we're thinking before this Colorado whiskey comparison. Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. So this is batch 1 of WB Saffel. You can see I've not had very much of it. Let me grab a fresh glass. Guys, the next review, excuse me, I got the bourbon hiccup belch thing. Not great, not flattering. The next review that I drop is going to be, if you saw my review that came out yesterday, which was Fable and Folly. The next one is going to be Basil Hayden's Subtle Smoke. Take it or leave it. I know, mixed opinions. And the review after that will be 10 Cup 10 Year. And then we're going to get into some serious shit, just so you know. All right. One thing about batch number 1 of this WB Saffel, when I'm thinking about a first batch of something new to hit the market, especially when we're thinking sourced whiskey, generally the first batch is the best batch. Why do I say that? Well, in the days of Bardstown Bourbon Company sourcing highly aged MGP, when you get a lot of good shit right away, like 10-year MGP, 12-year MGP. In this case, this is a blend of 6, 8, 10, and 12-year Wild Turkey. The first time you get all that stuff, it's like, let's go. We got the best materials to work with. The raw materials are there. You put it together. It's an idealistic blend. You go to market. And then the whiskey starts running out as you're sourcing it, and you realize, I kind of used the best of the best in that first blend. And we see that across the freaking board. For me, up until tonight, I figured that was the case with the Old Forester 117 series. Tonight kind of showed that up a little bit, although it is a mood thing. I'll give myself that caveat, as I mentioned earlier. But a lot of these people that source and blend old whiskey, what's going on with the focus here? Come on, camera. They put the best batch out first, and then it just goes down from there. So that is another caveat to say, I don't know what batch 2 tastes like, if there even is a batch 2 of this stuff. But this is batch 1, and in my mind, the first batch is probably the best batch if I'm going to draw a conclusion about the brand. That's usually only true in sourced whiskey, but this is sourced whiskey. If it's in-house stuff, you might see improvement because they start to understand the stocks they have and how that can work together. They have access to a broader portfolio. So, what did I say? 68 point. So it's 68.4 then, not 0.3. But yeah, C919 is it's a high proof SOB. Paul P says, did you get a hold of the latest Lucky 7 14 a few weeks back? I have 8 different single barrels, so I don't know which one you're talking about. If you're talking about the one that was on their website, I did not buy that. It was a lower proof one, and the lower proof barrels are not, in my opinion, as good as the 130 plus proof barrels. Okay, I'm actually kind of shocked right now by this WB Saffel on the nose. This smells better than I remember it. Oh, Dustin, thank you for the super chat, man. Cam, if you ever get an Old Fitz 17, let me know. I'll hook you up with samples of 14, 15, 16, and a sample of the new Driftless Glen Weeded. Dude, I might just go buy a 17 on secondary because of this. No, I'm kidding. Those are like $700 on secondary, which is just a lot of money for a freaking, when we're talking this, I understand overpaying. When we're talking Dusties that will never exist again, I understand overpaying. Old Forester 17 or Old Fitz 17. That is a tough sell for me. If I get one, I am hitting you up, Dustin, but I am going to send you something in return because that would be too kind of you, for real. All right, let's go to WB Saffel. So you definitely smell right away the wild turkey rare breed comparison here. It's proofy. This is at 10. Oh, this is only 107. This smells more like a 120 to me. Menthol on the nose. That the first thing you get is a lot of alcohol, but it's not just ethanol. You're getting like that menthol cooling sensation in your nose, which you get from some higher proof Buffalo Trace products, actually, like Stag Jr., George T. Stag. You get some of that menthol. Cinnamon candies. But not a lot else discernible on the nose before I take this first sip. It's just so aggressive and cooling and minty on the nose. There's suggestions of other notes here, but let me taste it first. All right. First taste is for mouthfeel and drinking experience. Ooh. Remind me to char. I'm going to talk about that. Mouthfeel, not like up front. It's all proof, all aggressive. It doesn't feel heavy. Once it settles into the mid palate, as it kind of rolls into the finish, this gets much heavier. and it starts to come together late in the sip. It's unique in that way, actually. And I've never picked that up here before. A lot of whiskeys you expect to kind of show their cards, show their hand right off the bat, and clearly show you what they are. This does not do that. This gives you a pop up front, and you go, damn it, it's going to be thin, it's going to be young. As it rolls back, it gets better and better, thicker and thicker. And now the finish is fantastic. On the palate, things are hanging around that I would have never expected. It's spicy in the gums and in the back of the throat, not just back of the throat, but also in the gums. It's tingling. Wow. Did not expect that from this bottle. Shit, this might be really good. Keep in mind, I've had quite a bit of alcohol tonight, so my palate, I'll say this, like, I'll be straightforward about where my palate's at. I feel like I'm still at 80 to 85%. If I fall below a certain level, I'll tell you my palate is shot. I'm not shot yet. I'm still sensitive to notes. And actually having a little bit of alcohol in you as you taste things like this, it helps you be a little bit more creative with the way that you think about the whiskey you're tasting. So I'm not encouraging you to like do 4 shots and then start tasting for the night. But I think as you get into it, you loosen up a bit and you can call notes and go to a place in your sort of sensory memory that you might not otherwise get to if you hadn't had a little bit of alcohol to loosen you up ahead of time. So for me, I do my best tasting, and I know this when I'm like two whiskeys deep, maybe 3 at the most. So the Map Madness competitions from this year, not to go back to that, not to beat a dead horse, I did a training flight ahead of all of those. And I went into every round of Map Madness tipsy, probably 3 whiskeys deep. And I think that is, I hate to say this, a big contributor to how I did well this season in the competition. Wow. So I said earlier, char. There's a lot of char in this WB Saffel, a disproportionate amount of char. I go back to the nose. It's still sharp. It's still menthol, you know, a little bit whatever on the nose. Unfortunately, nowadays, I'm so particular about the nose of whiskeys. I give it like 50% of the stock of when I'm talking about a whiskey. The nose has to be good. It has to invite you in. This is not a great nose. But the palate on this, that's so crazy. Cinnamon, bright cherry notes, and strawberry up front. Wait 2 seconds, and then boom, creamy vanilla in the mid palate, creamy light caramel, some sort of like peach apricot syrup kind of note. It's thick, it's rich, it's viscous. Sour. It's a pretty sour whiskey. Oh, I didn't think I was going to like it this much. The nose is like a 5 out of 10. The entire drinking experience is like an 8 out of 10. So I actually am going to say for batch 1 of WB Saffel, I'd give this an 80 out of 100. I would, in my tipsy state that I'm in right now, I would give this an 80 out of 100. The price is not good. This is not a $100 bottle. The good thing is it's only $50 for a half bottle. In some cases, I'm actually more okay with paying $50 for a half than $100 for a full bottle because it's less whiskey. I don't drink, honest to God, I don't drink that much whiskey. So a half bottle lasts me a really long time. Maybe that's only because I have so much whiskey that I'm sitting on, but I feel more okay that they sold this as a half bottle. I like that fact. All right. I have missed a lot of things in the chat. Let me see. So a lot of whiskey tubers are so good at going back and forth. I can do that a little bit, but then I get on these tirades and I can't keep up with the chat. Tight cuts. Oh, geez, that sucks. Ugh. Let's see. Robotic down here says, anybody get their hands on the Hold Up 14? That's 100 proof, I believe. I would be very curious to try that and see what that blend is like. Catching up. Andrew Kelly is drinking a long finish. Seems a little tannic or metallic to me. Let me try it. I could see metallic. I could see metallic on this. And I would have never picked it up without you mentioning that. There's like a copper note. Yeah. For lack of a better word, when you smell copper, you're tasting what that smells like. Let's see. Paul, maybe sponsor the Jazz Cut opening your work. Lots of jazz lovers willing to pay. I'm first in line. Think 50s jazz. Yeah, that's interesting, right? To use someone else's tune. I would not have it be a sponsorship. I would just feature somebody's work, because you like it. That's just like a stock track from Epidemic Sound, which is where a lot of whiskey tubers get their music from because it's royalty free. We basically pay $15 a month and get access to a lot of different music. And that's where that track comes from. It gets more hairy when people have copyrights on music and licensing fees and stuff. Henry, will you consider entering Bardstown? So I tried this year and they didn't advance me into the competition. I guess my entry video was too boring for them or not what they were looking for, which is totally fine. I get it. Next time I do it, the thing is, I don't want to be fake. The entry was 3 questions. You had 60 seconds to answer each question. And it was not like a big produced thing that you could submit. So whatever I submitted was not what they were looking for. I don't want to act the part. I don't want to do something that's not me. But I also want to get into the competition because I think I could win it. Thank you, Marty. 53 entries. Let's get them in. When your master taster at Old Forester, make sure they do 375s of all the... I'll be sure to tell them that. Okay. Can you guys imagine what it would be like to be the master taster at Old Forester? I'm just going to go to Warehouse K and drink some 13-year whiskey. I'm going to taste I got to see how the barrels are doing every day this week. And then you bring some flasks in and a drill and you just fill your flasks up with King of Kentucky. Okay. Last comparison of the stream, and then we're going to draw for tonight's giveaway. Let's do a little craft whiskey bourbon battle, and this is not going to be blind. This is going to be straight up. If we do them blind, I can probably pull out the 291 because it's so crazy. I wanted to keep this stream under 2 hours. Didn't happen. Kinda sorry. Kinda. Amy, you're the best. We're going to make this happen. Just remember who brung you. I love brung. I love that. Bardstown already has a whiskey tube champion. I don't know if it's a factor. So here's the thing. I do not believe I mentioned that I have a whiskey tube channel anywhere in that, because there was not a way to bring that up in the 3 submissions, the 3 questions they asked, to bring that up in a tactful, appropriate way, I don't think there was a chance. I do remember them asking like 2 of the 3 questions. I don't know that I remember the other one. One was, what is an unpopular opinion you have about whiskey? I think was a question, or something about an opinion you have about whiskey. One was, what is your favorite whiskey related memory? Which I felt like mine was strong. It was about proposing to Sarah and using Wild Turkey 17, the presentation box, which is right there in that proposal, and using it to celebrate our engagement. I felt like that was a very strong answer. Maybe they just wanted to hear something about camaraderie and the bros. I don't know. And then the other question I cannot remember. So it is what it is, you know. But I don't think I mentioned, because look, I'm going to say, yeah, I have this whiskey tube channel. It has 2,000 subscribers. They're going to be like, get out of here, dude. So I don't think I'd mentioned that. And I really didn't follow the competition this year at all. All right. Let's see how we're doing. Yep. So let's get into some Colorado whiskey, a little head-to-head competition before we draw for the giveaway and call this a night. What do we have here? All right. Let's go here first. 291. Distillery 291. Colorado Springs, Colorado. This is where Sarah and I got married last August. We spent a week out in Colorado Springs, which is beautiful, incredible part of the country. I'm so glad she took me out there. It was my first time there. I loved it. We visited 291, which is a very unassuming location. And we tasted through the entire lineup. These whiskeys are somewhat overpriced in the state. Like, people are charging too much money for what these are. The color is insane. It is as dark as it looks. They are aged in smaller barrels. I believe they're 30-gallon barrels or something of the sort, which is just like Middle West Spirits here in Ohio. And we tasted through the whole lineup. Whoever was there guiding us through the tasting did a fantastic job. Everything about it was great, but the whiskey has a particular profile. There's a small batch bourbon, small batch rye, which was in Matt Madness in the semifinals. That's the bottle I called. They have a barrel-proof single barrel bourbon. They also have a barrel-proof single barrel rye, which, if I remember, was so freaking alcoholic. I went for the bourbon. They do some maple syrup finishes. They do a lot of other stuff. And then they finish, I think, all of their whiskey with aspen wood staves to give it a little of that Colorado terroir. Fred Minnick loves 291. This is from the distillery. It is a single barrel. It is not a pick from the distillery. It's not a pick from anybody. It's just a standard single barrel proof. This is from Mile High Spirits. 4 years, 2 months, age stated, single barrel, 131.6 proof. The 291 is 128.2. Very close in proof. This is called Fireside. I picked this up on Sealbox. I believe it is a Sealbox and Breaking Bourbon collaborative pick. And I don't know that I've ever tasted it before tonight. I think I've smelled it. That's all. So let's check out 291 Colorado Springs versus Mile High in Denver. This is a little Colorado shootout of whiskeys right now. All right. Let me check the chat very quickly. Andrew says, I live in Lakewood now. Very interested to see this comparison. I know Lakewood, Ohio, but is that in Colorado? All right. Let's start with the lower proof. Let's go to Distillery 291 first. Both of these single barrel bourbons at cask strength. So 291 it smells thick. It smells syrupy and thick, and it's extremely savory. And when I get savory notes like this on bourbon, when I say savory, I'm talking not meat, soy sauce, hoisin sauce, like beef, like soup, beef broth, mushrooms. There's a lot of savory qualities to 291. I'm not saying it smells like, I'm not saying it smells like Campbell's soup or anything like that entirely, but there's so much savory, so much umami in here. It's salty. It is salty. And I get that a lot on these smaller barrel aging, aged products. Let's go to the palate quickly. Barbecue sauce. Hickory smoke. Black pepper spice. It is as outdoors and Texas. I know this is from Colorado. It's like a Texas mesquite barbecue. It's not smoky. It's not smoky. That's not what I mean. It's everything else besides the smoke. Wow. The barbecue sauce note is so strong here. Sweet Baby Ray's. Yeah. But yeah, Sweet Baby Ray's, but more peppery, even more black pepper. And sure, there's chocolate. There's dark chocolate in here. Not a lot of fruit to speak of. It is heavy and dense and rich and thick. It's a great drinking experience, but you have to like the profile of this. Funky is a light way of describing it. Let's go to Mile High. I will catch up on the chat. I want to do this without any influence. I am sorely lacking on drinking water tonight. Let's go to Mile High Spirits. Now, I think this Mile High, which is slightly higher proof, it's not finished with aspen staves. And I think it's aged in a 53-gallon barrel, which is a typical size barrel. I think. I don't know that for sure. The color doesn't look lighter, but who knows? You guys might know. If you want to look up Mile High and see what they age in, that would be awesome if someone in the chat could do that. Sealbox might even still have this barrel listed under their inventory. Wow, this is totally different. Whew. Barbecue sauce. This is sharper alcohol on the nose. It's not as thick and rich, but a little more traditional. So much white pepper spice and oak spice on the Mile High. Cinnamon. All I'm getting is spice on the nose. It's intense. Let's go to the palate, and then we'll go back to the nose. Wow. Oh, that is so intense. Why are all of these Colorado whiskeys so intense? Man. Goodness. I'll throw that up on the screen. Wow. So I was smelling Mile High right now and thinking to myself, this kind of reminds me of the WB Saffel in a way, because it's just intense on the nose. It's spicy. There's not a lot going on that's discernible on the nose. And then you go and you smell the WB Saffel, and it smells like it's 12 years old and refined and creamy. And you go back to Mile High, and it is just intense. At this point, my palate is a little bit shot. I have to admit that. And the 291 is just, it's all savory. It's all umami, soy sauce, like I said, all of those notes earlier. The standout note is barbecue. Yeah, I can't not taste barbecue. Mile High needs another 2 years in the barrel in terms of developing a more comprehensive profile, but the color is insane. So I don't know. I mean, maybe they have stuff that's older and it doesn't work very well. And maybe that's why they release their single barrels at this age. Maybe it's a young distillery. I don't know the reasoning behind it. But because it's more traditional, I have to give the nod to Mile High. 291, this is going to attract a certain kind of person. I have had this bottle for 10 months, and this is how much I've drank of it. And if that doesn't tell you all you need to know, I don't know what will. It's just too much. It's too much savory in the glass. And the color of these are both crazy. If that's what Colorado, the climate, is doing to the whiskeys, and the difference here is barrel size and then also the aspen wood stave finish, I've got to say that if Colorado is just an intense climate to age whiskey, this is the right approach. Slower, maybe larger barrels, which I think I think this is better. I like smaller barrels to me just seem like you're trying to hack whiskey. You're trying to do something faster that just takes time. The only person I've ever seen it do, the only distillery I've ever seen do this well, alcohol is speaking now, is Middle West Spirits. And even Middle West puts out lackluster single barrels that are more towards this, more savory, a little too thick. But the good ones, if you get a good one from one of those 30-gallon barrels, you're going to get something that's really sweet and not too savory. On the whole, it's too savory. And I think that's why most distilleries err on the side of 53-gallon barrels. Andrew says Fireside appears to be standard barrels, and you can, within 2 seconds of nosing it, you know that. You know what I would love to do? I would love if somebody sent me a blind flight of like 4 to 6 whiskeys, where 2 of the 4 or 3 of the 6 were aged in 30-gallon, and the other half were aged in 53-gallon, and asked me to tell the difference, because I believe I could get 100% of that correct based solely on the savory notes in the profile. I don't know how common 30-gallon barrels are, but I guarantee you I could win that challenge. I would bet you, what would I bet on that? I would bet an Elijah Craig C919 or B520 on that. Some good batch of Elijah Craig. I would make a bet on that. I would make a bet on that. Paul, thank you for another $20 super chat, man. You're the freaking best. Let me go back and catch up on this. I know there's so much I need to catch up on. Sorry. Yeah, Bubble Bath says umami. There it is. Asian marinade, umami notes. Yes. How much? Ooh, umami. Colin says, I'm in for anything funky. What's their distribution like? I don't know. I don't think it's great. Colin, I'll send. Oh, you know what, Colin? I'll send this with. I don't know if I have anything even comparable. Maybe I'll send you the Mile High with it or something with the pack I'm going to send you. Someone said something about Frey Ranch. This is not quite like Frey Ranch, but I do need to revisit those bottles from Paul Graham. Catching up. Please hit that like button if you guys are coming in right now. We're getting close to the end of the stream. I'm going to draw for the giveaway here in a second. If you have any final super chats, let's cut those super chats off realistically at 10:25. So 7 minutes from now. I'm not going to say 2 minutes from now because I'm going to forget about it in 2 minutes. So 10:25, let's cut off the super chats for tonight. And thank you, Marty from Whiskey Nose, for keeping track. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, Paul, 291 is rough and it is great. Big League says, I'm in for that challenge. If you have some 30-gallon finished or aged stuff and some 53-gallon, I would love to do that challenge. I would love it. All right. Top Dog, would you bet? I bet half of it. Maybe I would bet half of it, which is still a lot of King of Kentucky. I might bet half of it. Like someone sends me 4 and 2 of them are 30-gallon, 2 are 53. I bet you I could do that. Yeah. All right. So 10:25 super chat cutoff. Paul Graham says, I would do 30 Frey Ranch visits before I did another Buffalo Trace. I haven't done either. I would take one of each. Thank you all so much for hanging out tonight. Damn, Scott JG in the last 5 minutes for 2 entries to the giveaway. Thank you, Scott, for entering, for supporting the channel, all that kind of good stuff. I seriously appreciate it. Let's see. Marty says 59 entries. Is that including Scott? Let me know, Marty. It is. Okay. Great. So let's say this. The winner of tonight's giveaway is going to get, as advertised, the sample pack of the Old Forester 117s. Those 4 bottles. I'll probably throw in a couple other things because that's just what I do. And we're going to do a second place giveaway. And that is going to be a giveaway of my favorite barrel picks. That's going to include a mix of whiskey tuber barrel picks. I'm thinking of like Mash and Journey, entry proof, that kind of stuff. And also some other barrel picks that I have from various stores. So prize number 1, I have to write this down or I'm a little tipsy. I'll forget. Prizes for 616 stream. 1 Old Forester 117 plus extras. And the second place will win favorite store picks, including whiskey tubers. So Matt Porter picks ADHD whiskey. That's what we're doing tonight. That giveaway ends in 3 minutes, so get your super chats in if you want to get in on that. Yeah, awesome. Amy says, Cam does amazing sample packs. Just saying. Thank you, Amy. As I've said on here several times, I will never give away whiskey that I would not drink myself. That's just, why do that? Good. The only thing you should share is good whiskey. The rest of it, drink yourself, you know? EBA 101 Boxing says, congrats on Matt Mattis. Thank you. And thank you for supporting the channel, getting in on the giveaway. And that's a new name in the chat. So thank you so much for being there. Everybody hit that like button. Just about 1 minute left on tonight's giveaway. Just about. Yeah. Lots of chocolate coming back to the mile high from that last comparison. Lots of chocolate. What's up, Dave Rosas? Good to see you, man. If you want, I can throw a 5-1. Are you offering to throw in a sample pack, Dave? Let me know, man. If so, that would be awesome. If we could do 3 giveaways, that's very cool. Or if you're just throwing in $5 to the giveaway, that's also totally cool. Okay. Awesome. Guys, so we're going to have actually 3 giveaways tonight. It's going to be 2 from me and 1 from Dave Rosas in California. He is going to give away a sample pack. And let me tell you this. Dave gives some good freaking whiskey out. So I've received some fantastic store picks. I believe Michter's 10 rye, Michter's barrel strength rye. There's a lot of stuff that Dave sent my way. Jack Daniel's barrel proof rye, maybe. I mean, just so much good stuff. So we're going to do 3 giveaways. First, I will draw for that sample pack from Dave. Then what I'll do is you'll send me the address, and I will get that to Dave. Dave, can you put your email in the chat, if you don't mind? An email that I can make sure I contact you at. You'll send me the address. Everybody will send me their address and which prize they won, and then I'll get the appropriate super chats in. All right, Paul is the last super chat for tonight. Paul Graham. All right. Whoa. Hang on. Big League Bourbon. I will throw one in. Let's go. Big League, what are you throwing in? Let me know. Let me know what you're throwing in, because if we have 4 prizes, we might have to go another 5 minutes on super chats, because that's a lot of prizes. Sample pack. Holy shit. All right, we have 4 sample packs tonight. So here's the deal. We're going to go till 10:30 Eastern, which is in 4 minutes. That is the cutoff officially. No more sample packs being added. My email, I just dropped in the chat, drumsanddrams@gmail.com. No matter whose sample pack you win, you send an email to drumsanddrams@gmail.com stating what you won tonight, whether it's Big League Bourbon, Dave Rosas, or my first or second place sample pack. Send an email to drumsanddrams@gmail.com with your name, what you won, and your address. Big League Bourbon and Dave Rosas, send me an email with your preferred email addresses so I can contact you with those winners. Again, drumsanddrams@gmail.com. Send me your email addresses. By the way, let's just call this out. Tight Cut says, did Paul Graham win? He was killing it. Paul is one of the biggest supporters of the channel, and I cannot say enough about what I can't say enough about what he does for the channel, what he does for me personally, the interactions we have behind the scenes. You know, Paul's a good freaking dude, and I really appreciate him so much. And he has some great bottles coming his way. Thank you, Paul, man. I really appreciate you. D. Jonesy, what's up? Says this community is so cool. It really is. When people are like, dude, I'm going to throw in a sample pack or, you know, a bottle here, there. I love that. I love that. So cool. And James, thank you for another $10 super chat. Marty, I hope you're getting these, man. They're coming in. Top dog with another $5. Amazing. Amazing. All right, I got to have one last very small celebratory pour. And what is it going to be? What is it going to be? Let's go for something. Let's go for something neat. Pun intended. To celebrate the generosity of Dave Rosas and of Big League Bourbon and all of you super chatting tonight, and a little bit to celebrate the Matt Madness win. 1989 Old Granddad 114, one of the very favorite bottles I own. Let's do a little bit of this. If you guys ever have the opportunity to try 100 proof whiskey from National Distillers from the 1980s and before, you have to do it. You have to do it. All right. Andrew Moore says, Andrew, dude, I remember actually last week's live stream talking about 10 Cup 10. So I actually picked up a 10 Cup 10 bourbon. But Ohio, so I was talking about it on the last live stream. By the way, guys, super chats, like 20 seconds left. Last week's live stream, I was talking about this. I found the bourbon in Ohio. We had just gotten it in Ohio that week. The American whiskey stated on the label is not in Ohio. So I would like to find an American whiskey, but I do have the bourbon. But I'm going to review the bourbon this week. I could hold off on that if you can find the American whiskey. Can you send me a message, Andrew? And thank you, by the way, for the super chat. Kyle says, holy crap, I went to another stream for an hour and a half and y'all are still, I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. Amy, thank you. For Adriana, Whiskey Mountains has a huge Alzheimer's research fundraiser coming in July. Do not forget. Amy, do you know the date on this? If you could post a date and time would be awesome. If not, guys, keep an eye out for Whiskey Mountains on that stream. All of the fundraising that happens in Whiskey Tube is fucking incredible. Incredible. Eric Sawyer, wait, were you on? I don't know if this is trolling, because if it's trolling, it's a good troll. If it's not trolling, yes, I did win Matt Madness. Dave, we'll do a Jack Daniels Coy Hill 2022 rye, Old Carter Batch 9, E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof Batch 10, and one more. Guys, that's a freaking crazy sample pack. Oh my goodness, Dave. Big League Bourbon says, okay, email sent. Dave, make sure, I think I probably have your email address, but dude, just send me an email with your address just to be very, very safe. Wow. Whiskey Nose with a couple of Old Granddad pours. All right, super chats are done. CC Pullman with a $10 super chat. Dustin, is of relation to you, Dustin? And Kyle with a $5 super chat. That is it. Hendo, I'll be in Ohio next weekend. Don't think Dayton is about an hour away from me. That's not I'll make the Dayton drive any day of the week. It's not a bad drive. Next weekend, I have a show Friday and a show Saturday. So it depends on and a show Sunday. I have a 7 on Friday, an 8 on Saturday, and a 3 on Sunday. So I probably can't make it work, but shoot me an Instagram message just in case. Yes. Whiskey Nose says, first of all, thank you all for the 74 super chats tonight. That is unreal. And thank you for those who are donating sample packs. Dave and Big League Bourbon. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. CC Pullman says, added super chat for Dustin. Okay. So cheers to all of you with this very dusty Grandad 114 from 1989. Wow. You guys are awesome. All right. Let's go in reverse order. So first up, Marty, what did you say we have? 74 super chats. All right. Big League Bourbon is what we're going to draw for first. It's a 16-year double-barreled hazmat rye, a Magnus cigar blend, hell yeah, Frey Ranch barrel strength bourbon, Clyde Mays 13-year, and another. That is what we're going to draw for now between 1 and 74. And by the way, there will be no duplicate winners tonight. That is how we work on Drums and Drams. No duplicate winners. All right. So, Marty, randomize the list. If you don't mind, please randomize the list and let me know when you're good between 1 and 74, and then I will have Siri draw that number. But please do randomize that list. And let me know when you are good to go for this drawing. We'll do Big League Bourbon. We'll do Dave's flight. We'll do my second place flight, which will be my favorite store picks. And then we'll do the winning flight, which is Old Forester 117 plus some epic samples. Hendo, thank you for this. Whiskey Mountains Charity Alzheimer's fundraiser is July 10th at 9 p.m. Eastern. July 10th is a Sunday. I got the bourbon belches. Random is done. Hey, Siri, pick a number between 1 and 74.
A random number between 1 and 74 is 51.
All right, we're going off of my phone. My iPad also responded in front of me. We're going off of my phone, which says 51. All right. 51 is the winner of the Big League Bourbon flight. So let me know who that is, Marty. I'm going to make sure I write these down. Big League flight 51. Who is number 51? 21090. 21090. Hell yeah. Awesome. Congrats, Todd and Andy, and however you want to split these samples up. Congrats to you guys. That's awesome. So we'll be in touch. And Big League sent me an email so we can everybody can get in touch. All right, not sharing with Andy. All right, next up, we're going to draw for Dave Rosa's flight. Here we go. Hey, Siri. Pick a number between 1 and 74.
A random number between 1 and 74 is 49.
Sorry, my iPad keeps doing it too. 49 is what my phone chose. 49. Okay? Well, that's not going to focus. It's 49. Who do we have in 49? This is another epic flight. Let me see if I can go up and find it. maybe I can't find it. All right. Who do we have? James. All right. So a local bourbon enthusiast, whiskey enthusiast, James. Hell yeah. Awesome. So James wins the Dave Rosa's flight. All right. Great. So James, I will send you a message on Facebook and I will contact Dave via email. We'll figure all this out between us. Sweet. All right. Let's see. Dave Rosa's James M. Okay. Awesome. Whiskey Tornado, Lance, what's up, man? Just wanted to pop in and say congrats on the big win. You crushed, Matt. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. All right. On to the sample flight of my favorite store picks. Hey, Siri. Pick a number between 1 and 74.
A random number between 1 and 74 is 35.
All right. 35. 35. Who is that? Paul Graham. We all knew Paul had to win something, right? I just sent an epic package to Paul yesterday or 2 days ago, something like that. But Paul is going to win some of my favorite store picks. So here we go, Paul. Favorite store picks. I'll get that out to you in the next couple of days. And finally, the grand prize winner tonight is going to win this Old Forester 117 flight with some other favorite whiskeys on my end. So let's check this out. Hey, Siri. Hey, Siri. Pick a number between 1 and 74.
A random number between 1 and 74 is 13.
13 is the final winner of tonight's giveaway. Andrew, I agree with you. I know. At this point, Paul is doing so much for the channel and winning so many giveaways that I should just do a monthly subscription to Paul. Who do we have? Number 13. Oh, freaking DC is the winner. Oh, that is awesome. All right, so I don't think DC is here right now, but I believe I have his information. I think I have his address as well. So, Old Forester 117 plus epic samples. So thank you all for those of you who did not win. It's the luck of the series, I guess. Thank you for contributing to the channel, for supporting Drums and Drams, for getting in on the giveaway. There's plenty more to go around. I love sharing good whiskey with you guys every week that I possibly can here on the live streams. And I just appreciate you spending your Thursday night with me. So before we get out of here, hit that like button if you haven't already. To review the winners of tonight's giveaways, 21090 is winning the Big League Bourbon flight. James M is winning Dave's flight. Paul is winning my second place favorite store picks flight. And DC is winning the Old Forester 117 flight plus epic samples. All right, so that's what we have. Everybody, please shout out Whiskey Nose in the chat for keeping track of these super chats tonight in the live stream. Thank you so much. I do need to drink some water. It's been a long night. It's been a lot of whiskey, but we're doing it. Dustin says, good to have you back. Thank you, Dustin. And what's up? Kilco is in the house. Congrats, everybody. You are awesome. I'm going to have a new video out for all of you. I believe I could try tomorrow, but realistically, it may or may not happen. Definitely probably Saturday. I'd say by Tuesday, you'll have 2 more videos, and then we're going to be off to the races. That's my impression of how things are going in terms of recording stuff behind the scenes and getting things ready. So keep an eye out for new videos. Join the Patreon if you want to help support the channel. $5 a month, $10 a month, something like that. It's not that expensive. It's a great way to support the channel, get in on monthly giveaways, see some written reviews, some content that I have logged on the Patreon. And of course, I'm getting things up and running there again. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm so excited to be back. Thank you all so much for hanging out. I'm going to say cheers with my final sip of this 1989 Old Granddad 114. You guys are all awesome. Cheers. I will see you very soon. Appreciate all your support. Have a good rest of your night.